Let's talk for a second about your influences. Tell me about your experience, for example, with Louis Kahn and whoever influenced your work. And then...
Well, I don't know. I spend my life stealing from everybody. So I forgot what I've been stealing. But certainly I spent all my life. It's a question of nature, of curiosity. My mother obliged me to read, to become curious. Probably I was already curious by nature, but she obliged me to be curious. I think this is a very important thing. It's a great quality. And because you are curious, you put your nose everywhere. And you try to take away. Well, it's about stealing, and of course giving back possibly, but it's about taking. So I forgot completely what I learned from Kahn, but certainly I learned. By example, to work a long time in the night. He was sleeping sometime in the office. We used to find him next morning, still asleep on the drawing board. You know? I learned that, by example. That's something I learned, and other things. But the essential thing, probably I was more influenced myself by people doing another job, you know, like a writer, like a musician, many friends, musician myself. And I think music is a great source of inspiration. But of course you have to be careful not to apply literally this. I mean, because as an architect, what you have to say by architecture. That's something I learned quite soon in my life. You should not really confuse things. Architecture as a language, that is the language of architecture. And if you have to say something, a poet says something with the poems. A musician says by music. An architect says by beams and columns and the space. So I learned that. So influence are very important, but at one condition, that you don't fall in the trap of believing in the literal. It's more about energy, more about curiosity. Sometimes music, by example, is so close to architecture. Nobody really believes that, but is music as a structure, as a logic, as a kind of mathematical structure. Then, of course, musicians enjoy to break and to disobey. That is what you need also as an architect. You need the structure. You need order to create the disorder. Wow. And you have that.
Do you agree? Tell me also something about your experience. You studied philosophy, I understand.
Yes. Renzo's experiences are so different. I began the sculpture when I was working with sculpture because I had been a boat builder, a house painter, and I knew how to use my hands. But I didn't try even then for beauty. I wanted to give value to those things that people ignored. And at that moment, they started calling me a junk sculptor, which it took me a long time to understand. If it's junk, it means that it's no good. Now they have a new word, recycling. It didn't exist at that time. But, you know, like, there are so many things that we lose because of time. The experiences of the past and things like that. But there is this world of knowledge that is lost, has been lost, of craftsmen that knew how to make a wooden wheel, things that aren't needed anymore. And some of those things are incredibly beautiful. You can go into the Metropolitan Museum and you can see these collars made out Mesoamerican collars that are made out of stone. And who would wear them? But the forms, you know, they grip you inside. They just do something to you. And those were the things that I had hoped to and searched for in the work. But I agree completely with Renzo that music is really a kind of truth that deals with time and brings you to a real awareness of yourself. And that's the most that you can hope for with any work.